Welcome to the Austin Biz Buzz, the podcast that builds the buzz about Austin business. So kick up your feet and turn your brain on. It's time to talk Austin business right now. Here's Herdy.
Everybody, welcome to the Austin Biz Buzz, where we build the buzz about your business. And today, before we meet and talk to John Russell with the Russell Consulting Group, who's on for a second time because he wants to do some follow-up. He had such a good time on the first podcast. Welcome, John.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Let me thank my sponsor, and then we'll jump into your questions. I want to thank Mike O'Neill, the money coach, mkoneal.com. Mike does a lot of corporate and international speaking and motivational speaking. You can find him on his website, mkoneal.com. He was kind enough to become just a single one-time sponsor to help me with the editing and all the stuff, the time it takes to get the show back up for on demand on Apple and iTunes and YouTube. So Mike, thank you. And again, guys, check out Mike O'Neill at mkoneal.com, the money coach, motivational speaker, and corporate trainer. So today we're with John Russell, the Russell Consulting Group. He's been on with us in the past on a previous podcast where we got into more of his personal information, how long he's been doing all this, and that's great. But this is a follow-up podcast. So John, what I really want you to do today is just give us your best way for people to contact you, and then we'll dive into your questions, okay?
Sure. The website is the Russell Consulting Group.com. That's RUSSELL Consulting, CONSULTING Group. You know how to spell group.com. So the direct email is john@therussellconsultinggroup.com. And I don't mind taking phone calls. I do that all the time. Sometimes it's better for people just cut to the chase and have a chit chat. And that number is 512-217-3205, 512-217-3205.
All right, cool. So let's dive into your questions. We'll stay on about 30 minutes, John. That's kind of the norm for the Austin Biz Buzz. So you've navigated companies through economic straits in the past, and this is kind of where we're at. So what is different this time?
This downturn was caused by the pandemic itself. It wasn't caused by a real economic downturn per se, as we've had in the past. This is an event that caused the downturn, so it's different in this case.
And so what are some of the main things that you're seeking input on right now?
Well, initially, a lot of businesses, particularly the smaller ones, were concerned about their leasing contracts with their landlords, or they own buildings and, they had payments to make, on those loans. And it was navigating them through that process, helping them with their PPP funding, tag team with the bankers and banks in specific. One that I would like to do a shout out for, which is Citizens National Bank, and that's Jeff Baker. That guy has been phenomenal, working with not only our clients, but just non-clients that are not with them yet or with us. These guys blow the doors down. So that was the first thing. The next thing is, how can we reposition our company so that we can not only sustain the current waters, but come out of this ahead and actually seize more opportunities.
And so since this all began, and it wasn't that long ago, we were all just bouncing around and it was fantastic. Have you had to suggest to any of your clients that they close their doors?
Regrettably, yes. And The reason for that is the impact of this for the type of service they were in, type of business they were in, which there were a lot of clients that would come into one location at once, and because of the social distancing and all the other concerns, they just weren't sustainable. And so I said, we can postpone the pain or we can cut to the chase and let's just close the doors, because you trying to salvage this is actually going to cost you more money in the long run.
So unfortunately, they had to shut the doors. And so I guess, John, where are people to find their opportunities, or business people to find opportunities from what we're going through right
To
now?
me, that's the most exciting part. Some of them have evolved into expanding into other business sectors of opportunities. And one in particular, they have a number of dry cleaning locations throughout Central Texas. And because business dropped off, they turned the problem into an opportunity, and they started making face masks for not only their customers, but then they realized that there was a bounty of buyers out there from other companies that wanted their logo on the face mask, or even school emblems on face mask. And we're looking at maybe helping them expand that into the opportunities of the political arena, which should be or could be entertaining, but we need to be careful about that. I've had a couple other clients that have said, hey, we're in a strong position, but this is a opportunity to buy out our competitors at a really good price. And so there's been a lot of that kind of activity going on. And so it's been a lot of fun to see the ones who can evolve and reinvent themselves, and do even better than ever. That's the upside of this.
And as you work with these businesses that are starting to open up now, we've had some opening up in Texas, especially around the Austin area. What comparisons can you share for those being responsible and those that aren't?
Well, I want to take a broader brush on this because it's such an important question. I think the airlines, in particular, United Airlines, has been terrible. And I'm just going to call them out on it. You know, when they were saying that they were going to have distancing between passengers where that middle seat would not be used, they went ahead and did it anyway. They're going to wait to see how many complaints they receive. To me, that's totally irresponsible. And let's face it, the meat processing plants and the facilities, one of the reasons why that got so bad is because the employees were afraid not to go to work if they were sick. And that's a reflection of their poor policies on how they treat their and manage their employees. And the heck with the outcome will be that they'll have to close the whole thing. That, to me, that was short-sighted. I do believe, and I have a lot of kudos for a lot of food establishments that have done a great job. I think some of them actually have almost gone overboard. As far as companies that are a great example, HEB, they should get all the awards. Talk about navigating through a hellhole and taking care of everyone, including the clients they serve. That's a great example. The other thing I was going to say, well, I'll go into that in a couple minutes. I'm going to talk about banks in a minute, but that's all I'll say at this point with those.
All right. So in terms of the economy, you know, a lot of people are talking about that we've done business a certain way in the past. So John, what do you think permanently changed? Do you see some permanent changes beyond what we did in the past?
Yeah, and this is where I was going to talk about, banks. I think this is going to be a great long-term boost for the smaller banks, the regional banks. As an example, like the one that I mentioned earlier on, because they're actually taking care of their clients. They're not a massive bureaucracy that is only incentivized to make sure the PPP money goes to the larger players. They realize that even if they take care of a smaller business, that smaller business will be sound and whole, and they'll continue to do business with the smaller banks. This has been a great example. My clients who were working with the bigger banks, it took them till hell froze over sometimes to get their funding. With the smaller banks, it was unbelievable, turn on a dime, no pun intended when I say that. I think that this has really accelerated the conditioning that I think a lot of players involved have for increasing the idea of a cashless society. Suddenly using cash has a kind of a bad rap, where I think that's kind of unfortunate. I won't go into that. But these are all things that are forcing the metamorphosis of how we do business on a day-to-day basis. I also think that the drive-by pickup, delivery, all that is going to realize a significant boost. They're saying that some of the major movie chains, including AMC, may be going bankrupt. We also know that JCPenney and some of the other big players out there are going into liquidation, all a result of this whole thing.
Guys, we're about halfway through our questions today. We're talking to John Russell from the Russell Consulting Group. And John, just to get our listeners that might be missed the very beginning of this or coming on and listening to it right now, can we go through quickly your phone number and email contact information again, or website?
Yeah, the best number to reach me at is 512-217-3205. That's 512-217-3205. Please do not be a spam caller. I am more than happy to talk to anyone who needs some business advice, but definitely don't want to be buying products from all parts of the world, especially from Ukraine or China. So
there you go.
the other way is the russellconsultinggroup.com. That's the russellconsultinggroup.com. And of course, there is more contact information there.
Sure.
You can also find me on LinkedIn.
Good, thank you. And getting back to the questions on the podcast for the Austin Biz Buzz, on the terms of the economy, well, let's put it this way. You still have clients that need a business plan for a new venture, right? And so how are you considering worthiness of a client now?
So it's been very interesting, because there actually have been a lot of entrepreneurs or groups that are interested in having a business plan put together, or at the very least a business strategy. And it's important that it's very well thought out whether or not it's going to be sustainable, not only now, but later on. The trends are so important. There's going to be so many business models that will be completely irrelevant even in 20 years from now or sooner. So that's the first thing, the first measure. We have a client that is getting funding for, they're going into drones. And I actually think that they're in a good position. There's a future in that. And, did a lot of preliminary research, and I think what they want to do is going to be sustainable. The other clients, some of them have established track records with different businesses, and they actually want to come up with a completely new business strategy or business plan to pivot or diversify their company.
Gotcha.
And that's a good thing.
And so your assessment, because I know you like to talk about politics and government and things of this nature. So how have you think the government responded to the people who lost their jobs pretty quickly, immediately up front when everything got shut down?
I think they were remarkably quick to turn around and start doing something. Uh, I was actually quite impressed how quickly that they started moving on it. At the end of the day, we all know that if everything completely imploded, the ramifications, not only on our economy, but as our society as a whole, would be extremely serious. I mean, you would have so much chaos, maybe a revolution in the streets. So uh, I think they did a good job. The process of deciding who gets the money and who doesn't. There were a lot of small businesses that lost out initially because some of the big businesses took the money, and I want to applaud the big ones who took the money and then said, no, we really, you know, we didn't need it that badly, we're going to give it back. So, kudos to them. But I think they've worked hard to address some of those shortcomings, and we're going to follow how it continues though.
And you're also a big proponent on following lots of different news outlets. And so any comments on how you think they've covered or how they've done?
I think they've done a terrible job. And the reason why I say that, we have to remember that there's that old term, if it bleeds, it leads. And that drives ratings, and ratings drive revenue. And I think it's important that they report it, but at the end of the day, for the first month, if you turn on the news, you wouldn't see anything in the news except coronavirus. It was on the level of hysteria. And my point is that there are other things happening in the world, and other things happening in the world that not only affect what will happen to us as a world power in the next year or more, but it also affects our economy. And just to be focused on one item could be that they have a shortage of staffing. I don't know, but it kind of makes me suspicious that they kind of went a little bit overboard on this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think it contributed to some economic loss for businesses, accelerated because people were so freaked out. But yeah, I have reservations. There have been some broadcasters and some news organizations that have done a better job than others, but on the most part, I'd give them a B.
All right. And so, hey, guys, we've been talking to John Russell, the Russell Consulting Group. We're about to wind down with the final question on the podcast today. And John, your consulting group, the Russell Consulting Group, has vetted a bunch of teams, partners, resources in multiple sectors, right, that you work with. You consider good partner relationships for business. How have they worked out for you during the pandemic?
Oh, they've been fantastic. The ones who have been the largest, most resourceful ones, colleagues and partners, have been the CFOs, companies that go in and help companies or businesses seek ways to actually save money by renegotiating. That would be like Shelley Mitchell or a group like that. Some of the commercial real estate companies have really stepped up to the plate. Nick Boyd and his firm have been phenomenal in going in and working on behalf of some of the clients to renegotiate their leases and the lease agreements. The Mezzingale law firm has been really helpful in not only items like that, the lease, PPP loans, but there have been incidences where companies have had employees that were terminated, and they try to collect on the unemployment funds even after several months after they were terminated for just cause. And that type of nonsense was put to a stop. So, we have a lot of really great vetted partners, and I have to say that this is just one example of what a great job they've done. We work hand in hand and bring results for the clients we serve.
John, thanks for great information today, buddy. And I encourage you guys in the Austin area or just about anywhere, because John works with a lot of diverse companies, different companies, small companies, well-established companies that need direction, kind of gotten stuck. I've known him for several years. We're friends. I've seen his work in action. It's awesome. Um, if you're listening to this and you want to share it to a friend, you can go out and search on Google for the Austin Biz Buzz. We are on YouTube, we're on iTunes, we're on the Google Music platform, we're on a podcast platform, and we want the voice to be heard of our small businesses in Austin, Texas. So, John Russell, you're awesome, buddy. Thank you for being on the Austin Biz Buzz.